Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, joined as always by the Blue Falcon, John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, and Nate from Buff Anime Nerd. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing all right. How are you guys today?
Oh, we're doing really, really well. I'm like Jimmy 2 times. You got to get the papers. I say the stuff twice now. We got. I'm gonna try to sneak in one Goodfellas reference every week. Like every week, I got to do at least one. Try to roll.
Call it out in the comments, guys. If you notice the Goodfellas reference, we will send you a box of chocolates. Totally gonna do that.
We'll get right on it. We'll get right on it.
It'll get here once the Soros check clears.
I am eventually gonna do merch. I got a powers taken, not given. I'm gonna start doing that year.
Wait,
So
did you get that like it was already that way and you saw it and you're like, I gotta buy that, or did you have that made?
Someone made it for me. It was a gift, and I said that's really cool. I like that. So whenever I start doing merch, it'll look a lot like this. But right now we're gonna do some banter. Actually, let's go with this. Buff Anime Nerd, how long have you been doing content, my friend?
I have been doing content for probably about 3 years now. I think I really got started in like 2022, here and there in 2021, but not like really started taking off in like 2022, I'd say.
What got you?
Mathematically, that 2022 was 3 years ago, but when you said that, it hit me like a rock.
Me too. Me too.
It was like 3 years ago. That must have been like 2019.
Yeah, that is wild. That because I've been doing it since 2022 as well. So March 2022 is when I started doing that. We've probably been all doing around. Actually, John, I don't know how long you've been at this game.
I started like my first ever TikTok was like during the lockdown era. But
okay,
I didn't get into it until like maybe later in 2021. So all of us probably the same area,
right at the same time. Everyone did.
Yeah. that was about the same for me. I did like maybe 1 or 2 posts during like the lockdown era, and it was just like me like duetting a couple of other posts, and then I started to lean into like anime a little bit, which is where like the Buff Anime Nerd comes in. I then made another account that was like a fitness account, and then I came back over to anime, and then in 2023 in October is when I started getting into politics.
Oh God, yeah. What made you start getting in this game? I wonder. Like, what makes like because anime is such a. I think anime is extremely political too. I'm not.
Yes, absolutely.
I only know probably 3 or 4 animes decently well, but they seem to follow a pretty consistent political theme, and or at least shaped around politics in some way. So I guess I can see how there'd be some transference there. But anime seems like a safer route to go on if you're going to go into social media.
But believe it or not, there's actually a lot of left-leaning and leftists who are leftist anime creators who like strictly create content about anime, but who also talk politics in the realms of anime itself. So they kind of dip their toes into both of them. And actually, believe it or not, before I even started getting into anime, I was actually on the right. So I was on the right. I was raised as like a Republican, and then as time went on, and I started to learn more, started to get out of like my mid-sized town, I would say, and venture out, I started to shift my views more towards center. And then as time went on, and January 6th happened, I started to push a little bit more towards the left. January 6th, 2021, to be more specific.
Was there like an anime or pop culture thing in particular? Like January 6th obviously probably made you go, well, those guys aren't the good guys. But was there like more ideologically speaking gateway media that brought you there? To give you a little bit of context, me and TJ say all the time, our entire goal is to turn this into a pop culture show that occasionally references politics, and we're working on it. So was there like an example where you're like, this was a gateway drug for me. This turned me into a socialist. This trans my kids.
The one that got me was One Piece, because in One Piece there are a lot. The entirety of the series revolves around politics, or revolves around taking down an oppressive government. There are direct parallels in One Piece that you can see in our modern day government. There's this one anime creator. He's literally saying that, like, hey, there are these characters in One Piece called the Celestial Dragons. They are the rich elites that literally treat people as slaves. Like, if you look at them, they're allowed to shoot you. And he literally says, like, hey, the person that the Celestial Dragon that the main character punched in the face, that's Trump.
So I have a question also. This was after your military service then, when you started moving to because I was in the military as well. I was in the Army, and I started my leftward creep, but we sped up while I was still in the Army. And one thing I do like to ask, we have a lot of veterans on the show and everything. Oddly enough, we run across a whole lot of ex-leftist military vets. Was there a time when you were in where the light bulb kind of went off, where you're thinking, oh, we're not actually fighting for anybody's freedom at all. What we're doing is we're acting as the muscle arm of multinational corporations. And it's very apparent. And I remember having this conversation with a couple of guys in my platoon, maybe 7-8 years ago. And we all sat around and said, yeah. And it was interesting seeing how different people coped with it. Because I felt very uncomfortable about it. So this is obviously wrong. Another guy's like, yeah, it might be, but who cares? I'm still doing it. They're paying me and I'm going to keep on doing this. And people compartmentalize it in different ways. Was there a moment like that for you while you were still in?
It wasn't while I was still in. It was after I was out and while I was deconstructing my conservatism and moving more towards the left that I was just like, you know what, my time in service, it was serving something that now I do not currently align with. It was serving, basically the imperialism wall that was over my eyes fell.
Yeah.
Because I realized afterwards that I fell for the imperialism, for the imperialist propaganda that was, the recruiters coming to your school.
It's easy to do.
Those evil recruiters.
I was a recruiter, so that's why John is. I was a recruiter for a while. So, but I was a recruiter for a couple of years. Yeah, but no, it's really easy to do. Like while you're in service, especially during training. During training, you are singing the songs, and you are. If you hear military cadences, they're actually really funny. A lot of them, they center around basically three things. They center around training you to realize that, hey, we want you to kill people. You need to be okay with that and joke about it. It's kind of funny. Or they joke about you getting injured or you getting killed or about someone banging your lady while you're gone. Those are pretty much the three things that they sing about consistently. But you do get kind of swept up in the moment. You were like, oh, wow, I'm Luke Skywalker here. I'm on a special mission. Oddly enough, you're Darth Vader, but I'm on a special mission here. I'm the hero of this story. I am the cream of the crop of the nation. I'm the best and brightest. And you're surrounded by everybody else doing the same thing. And it's really easy to get into. Zeke here commented, I cannot stand right-wing content. It's too much hate. Yeah, I don't know how anyone else does either. I don't understand it. It's how anyone can sit there and listen to that shit consistently. Zeke says, for veterans on the show, awesome. I actually follow Jeremy on YouTube. He is a veteran socialist. John and I, that's another thing John and I talk about a lot, how many veterans we have coming on the show. We need to have maybe a segment or something that we do with this content, because this is something that we discuss all the time, that we saw the results of the last election, that young men in particular are going haywire. And I think that they're not given for some reason they're missing out on people to look up to, on role models, on masculine coded men on the left. And we need to push that as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely. So they don't fall down this alt-right pipeline that they seem to be falling down.
And just to be clear, this is not something that we try to do. It's not like we make some concerted effort to get, veterans on the show. It just happens that way. There are a lot.
Oh, the deep state got to John. Uh-oh. They got him. Well, we'll wait for John to hop back on here. But what John was going to say is that a lot of the times we reach out to people to join the show and become guests. Oh, you back, John?
I'm back. I'm assuming that you were just rephrasing what I was about to say, is that it just happens that way. I think a lot of veterans that do end up kind of realizing they were wrong, it's in some way, shape, or form, especially, and a lot of them didn't join the military with these ideas. A lot of them like you two were conservatives going in. And I think that when you realize that, hey, I kind of fought for these bad objectives, that hurt the world, you feel the need to speak out about it, especially if you're the type of person that is eloquent and able to communicate these ideas. So I think that's why we see a lot of veterans crop up as left-wing content creators, because they have the skill set to communicate and probably a stronger sense of duty to help people walk through the deconstructions that they did. If I were to take a guess, I'm not a veteran, for anyone who's wondering.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't know about you, Nate, but for me, my leftward creep actually started before I had that light bulb moment of, oh, wow, are we the baddies? Like, it happened before that. What happened with me is, and it's funny because I already knew this, my dad was in the military as well, but I saw the social programs in the United States military that you started to see that, like soldier pay or Marine pay, airman pay, it's not particularly high, but the benefits are great. Like, as far as like, you get there, if you don't have a place to stay, they will house you. You will have a place to stay. You either stay on base, or we will give you extra money in your check so you can find somewhere to live. Your health care is taken care of. They have services for your family. I mean, they pour it on to make sure that those ancillary details are fine for you. They'll pay for your money for school and everything like that. Night school, if you want to attend while you're still in service, or you can wait and attend when you're gone. It's really incredible. And I kept looking at this and it's like, okay, why do I get this and everybody else doesn't? There is no reason. And what they'll try to say is, well, you don't understand. People in the military, they're making a sacrifice for the nation. Who the fuck isn't? Like, who isn't, right? I mean, everybody is working in this together. And because I wear green every day and get yelled at by somebody, I'm the one who gets to have free healthcare. No, that's actually what started it for me. I don't know about you. Well, actually, it didn't hit your until later, name.
yeah, but that's actually the argument that I make now for socialized programs. Is the fact that in the military we got food, we got housing. If I break my leg today, I don't have to worry about the medical bill. I don't have to worry about the ambulance ride.
And TJ often likes to say that the military does things because they work. More so than any other organization. The reason the military does something is because it works. And I would actually, TJ, I would call bullshit on we're doing this because our soldiers make sacrifices. It's like, well, no, that's kind of bullshit. You're doing this because you want to make sure that their housing is secure, their medical care is secure, so that they can focus on the job at hand and be more productive at the task that they're given. And it's not like that only applies to soldiers, people. Yep. It applies to literally everyone. If you're homeless, you're not going to be able to do your job very well. If you don't have good medical care, you're not going to be able to do your job very well. These things are directly related to productivity and, humans just operating at a high level. And that's besides moral reasons of like, hey, housing and healthcare should be a human right. There's very tangible beneficial impacts to these things. And if there weren't, why the fuck does the military do them?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. When people say stuff like, well, we can't let everyone have free healthcare because everyone's just going to use it. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point of the healthcare right there. I mean, you got to show me the downside of teachers having universal health care. Show me how that's going to hurt the nation in any way. If anything, it's going to make the school system better. And then you could extrapolate that to every single occupation, just like everybody else does. It's not like we're the first people to think of this and it works every time. But yeah, I do say that a lot, Nate, that when people talk about our organizations going woke or whatever, there's nothing woker than the United States military, because they will blaze the trail forward. If implementing a certain measure, a certain policy helps them win wars, you bet your ass they're doing it every fucking time. You think all those racists in the military in the 40s or 50s wanted to integrate? No. But once command realized, if we actually, increase our force and make these people work together, same thing with women. They didn't want to do that. But it works. And this is something like, this is how I know that astrology is bullshit, because if it were real, the military would be using it to help us win wars. That's how I know magic doesn't exist. We'd be using that to help ourselves win wars. There's no way we would throw that off to the side. Like, when combat and war and the spreading the power of massive superpowers and nations on the line, yeah, they're doing whatever they can. So I don't know.
You're telling me the government has UFOs locked up in Rockwell, but we haven't been using them to murder innocent children in Palestine? Yeah, right.
John, one of my biggest hobby horses, sorry, Nate, and it's the UFO thing. Listen, I'm not saying that aliens aren't real. I think that with the size of the universe, the existence of extraterrestrials is essentially a mathematical certainty. All right, I will grant that all day long. I believe that. I don't believe for a second that aliens have come here, only talk to the United States government for some reason, and the United States government is hiding that away, and that Donald Trump and Elon Musk haven't blown the lid off this.
Now more so than ever, TJ.
Right?
Now
Yeah.
more so than ever.
Look, if aliens have come here, they've said, "Oh shit, these people are way too stupid," and just flown right off.
Yeah, that could be the case. I don't know. Zeke
right,
One Piece. I've never seen it, but
yeah, I've never seen it. I wish I could comment on it, but Conservatory of the Ozarks told us, great show again. Conservatory, I love you, but there's no way you actually determine that yet. We're like 10 minutes in here. We've just been doing our banter. We haven't even gotten to our main topics today. We're going to be talking about some fun things. We're going to be doing a little bit of ranking of political red flags that pop up. We're going to be talking about tariffs because that's the big news of the day. And we're going to be we're going to be talking about the protests. Let's start with the protests. Let's mix it up because we did a lot of tariff talk yesterday. We're going to get plenty. I'm sure there's a lot of people here who want to hear us talk about tariffs. And I just have to say, you're going to have to wait for tomorrow's episode. So make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, all that good stuff. Or if you want to skip ahead to it right now, make sure to download our podcast episode on Spotify where you can listen to the whole thing because I don't have the time to cut them all up. Anyway, I know Buff Anime Nerd wanted to talk about the protests. I did attend one of the hands-off protests over the weekend. I definitely have some thoughts about it, but there's been a lot of discourse about it. So this is something you want to talk about, Buff Anime Nerd, so I'll let you introduce the topic.
Yeah, so obviously over the weekend we had the hands-off protests, which were this nationwide protest where literally millions of people gathered in cities across the entire nation. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is the fact that across the past 4 years, conservatives had said that the entire Biden administration was so bad, yet we didn't see a single protest even come close to the magnitude that we saw with the hands-off protest.
There's one I can think of.
There was one pretty big one. There was one big one.
I mean, technically, that was still under the
That is true. Yeah,
true.
But not only that, but we saw a distinct difference of how the police treated the hands-off protests compared to how they treated any Black Lives Matter protests. Because with the hands-off protests, they decided that they wanted to not treat them with any hostility, but with every single Black Lives Matter protest going into it, they treated it with hostility, even though both of these protests started the exact same way. They both started out extremely peaceful. And it wasn't until police intervention that the Black Lives Matter protests started kicking off towards the violent half because of said violent police intervention.
It is, and you can say it's a Black Lives Matter protest. You can say that about insert your Gaza protest here, whichever one you want to talk about. And this is actually something that I've seen, I guess, get criticized from the left in a way that I think is unfair because I see a lot of, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have a feeling of stolen valor with this being called a protest because I'm going to be honest, it wasn't. Like, this was a political demonstration. It was not a protest. And it was very interesting being there because I had never felt more safe because I'm not an avid protester. I don't go to a lot of protests. I've been to protests. This didn't feel like a protest. It didn't feel, I felt completely safe because I was surrounded by a bunch of old white people. And like, you'll never feel safer from the police when you're surrounded by a bunch of old white people. And I was just like, I know nothing's going to happen here. They're not going to be pepper spraying grandma right next to me. Like, they're just not going to do that. So, and it was all organized by Indivisible, which is not necessarily a grassroots organization. I mean, they're a pretty large organization that is very Democrat aligned. And so I saw a lot of criticism of this from the left of like, hey, these aren't real protests. There was that viral story of that woman who's like, where's the bouncy house for my kids, which I thought was really funny. But like my whole thing with them was like, but why is any of this bad things? Like, oh, they're just trying to like sign up emails for donor lists. I'm like, okay, good. Like that's a good thing. We want people to be giving more money and becoming more politically engaged and getting out there and marching in mass numbers. Because I'll tell you what, if this was a tooth and nails, like we're trying to disrupt shit protest, you wouldn't have gotten millions of people across the entire country together to do this. It just wouldn't have worked that way. It's a different type of political message, which is also effective. And I feel like a lot of the criticisms on the left of it are I don't know, kind of missing the point. Did you see any of that, TJ? Any of that discourse?
No, I didn't know that. So I don't know. I actually didn't keep a lot of tabs on the hands off. I remember hearing about it, but I never really looked into it. And I heard a lot of people say they were attending it and they're going to it and everything. And honestly, even the day before the protest, I wasn't exactly sure what it was about. I didn't know what hands off was in reference to. I had to look it up a little bit later.
Well, TJ, no one knew it was about. That was the other thing. It wasn't about any. Like, it was about Medicare, hands off Medicare, but it was just a insert your dilemma here. Like there were signs for everything.
Okay, all right. That I feel less bad about that now. I was like, man, I feel like I should know this, but I had no idea. And I don't know. When you said that you heard people from the left criticizing it, I didn't expect you to go down the route saying that they, what did you say? That it wasn't really a protest. I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was thinking, and I haven't heard anyone say this, but I just remember having this thought when I saw that this protest was going off about the utility of protest in general. Honestly, I'm beginning to wonder at this point, is like, whoa, all right, is this, I don't know what this is going to do. Then again, it's also because of the ethereal and nebulous nature of this particular protest. But now that I've heard you say that they were doing things very unprotest like, registering people and, trying a goal to get people more politically active, I do like that. I think that because unfortunately we have this view of politics in the United States where politics is something you do every other November. Is, oh, we're going to vote now. And then the rest of the time, you got nothing. You don't think about it at all. And protests can be effective in that. But if it's now, once again, I am not shitting on John and I are a little disagreement here. I am not shitting on, extra legal activities when it comes to protesting. I'm not. That's not my goal here. But I'm saying it's just as possibly more effective to get people actually registered and getting the email list and getting people out, for that, those 24 months in between before we actually vote. Well, what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's definitely more beneficial to actually get people more engaged. We need more people engaged in the primaries, and that way we actually get candidates that we actually can platform, and everyone can be like, you know what? Yeah, we all agree with this here candidate right here, or at least a majority of us agree with this here candidate right here. And I think getting people to sign up and be more politically aware will inevitably get us to that point.
It is funny because one of the biggest things I noticed at the protest, and maybe this was just in Philly, I don't know. My intuition says it was everywhere. So many people had never done anything like this before. So many people were like, this is my first protest. They didn't really know what to, they were hearing the chants, like, do I join in? I don't really know. Like, there was very much a sense of uncertainty about it from a lot of the people because they hadn't done this before. And I think that speaks to the effectiveness of this, because we talk a lot about how Trump engaged non-politically active voters to vote for the first time and vote for him. And, I doubt that too many of these people who attend these protests had never voted before, but they had never been politically engaged before. They never attended something in person. They never signed up for an organizing list. One of the most impressive things I saw is there were several groups of socialist alternative organizers at this protest, and I saw them engaging with normie fucking people. And people being like, yeah, no, I'll talk to you about this, and be interested in talking with them and communicating them, not shutting them down. There was a ton of overtly pro-Gaza shit. that wasn't being shut down at all. A lot of the speakers are very pro guys. Like this was a very much what the Big Tent can look like to me. And that's why I've had such an aversion to people like poo-pooing it on the left. Because this is what we need to do. We need to build this way. There is so much energy, so much political will right now, and we need to channel it in every way that we can. There is no bad way to channel it right now. It just needs to be channeled. That being said, criticism from the right has just been hilarious of this, where they're just like, yeah, these are paid protesters. What the fuck? First of all, you weren't there because clearly these guys, if they're getting paid, they're overpaid. They weren't very good at it. But secondly, like, yeah, what? So you're telling me that George Soros has the money and organizational power to organize millions and millions of people across the entire country to go out and protest on a random fucking spring Saturday, but not win the election? Like, is that really what you think happened here? Like, it doesn't even pass the fucking smell test. And I know you can say that about a lot of Republican positions right now, but it is just silly to try and say that this was paid, because it just obviously wasn't.
Yeah, that was funny. Did you see that post? I was just looking for it, but I didn't know if it was real or not, where Trump said that there was $200 million spent on these protests. I didn't share it because I wasn't sure if it was legit, because it's hard to tell sometimes when I look it up. But I'm amazed how often conservatives will go to this well, where it happens. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's like, oh, wow, you guys are being paid by George Soros to say this. And of course, it's hilarious. Speaking of George Soros, what's his net worth? Like $7-8 million. And when they have Elon Musk on their side,
is it?
I don't know. It's a few $1 million. $7
or $8 million.
I mean,
that would be shocking to me. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, let's see what it is. But it's nowhere near Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's
like
$7 billion.
Oh, billion. I'm sorry, I meant billion. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine?
Low
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I meant billion. Yeah, I meant $1 billion. Yeah. So when they have Elon Musk with, hundreds of billions of dollars, and of course, they don't see a problem with it at all. And Nate, something you said, well, actually, first, John, I couldn't agree more that now is the best possible time for the big tent bear hug type of leftism we need. This is something that this show has been on for years now, that the infighting of the left, folks, it has to end. It's got to stop. We're not going to win if we keep, separating ourselves into our own little corners of leftism, and you're not progressive enough for me. And it's like, no, we have to work together, like Ben Franklin, we hang together, we hang separately here. We're all hanging separately right now. And now's the time when people are fed up with Donald Trump. And the last thing we need is stuff that I have seen, John, where people are saying, oh, well, where were you guys in November? Shut the fuck up, okay? I don't need anyone asking that question, all right? These people all could have been voters for all we know, but some of them may not have been voters. They may have been politically disengaged. And like John said, this is how Trump got the ball rolling, is that he got a bunch of people who didn't care about politics, who saw politics as a boring television show they didn't pay attention to, and they found someone interesting and exciting, and they didn't know what was going on, and they voted for him. And I'm not excusing them as good people or whatever, but listen, I don't care about the morality. It works. We need to get people on our side, and we have to be willing to accept those folks. And also what you said, Nate, that is so true. Another reason, the reason the Republicans are kind of blessed and cursed with Donald Trump is that when Trump runs, his cult follows him. They'll run into hell holding a can of gas to support this guy. And it's amplified with the people who Trump picks while Trump is running, that if you aren't an insane QAnon level right winger, you are not making it out of the primaries. It's not going to happen. And the Trump wing of the Republican Party has won control of the primaries to the extent that it actually hurts them, like especially when Trump's not running, that they can't get all those people. But it doesn't matter if the regular Republicans think that's crazy. We need to control the primaries. We always talk about how upset we are at the Democrats because they're not reflecting the will of their voters. Yeah, they are. I mean, like that's how they got there, right? Like the primary is when the referendum on the candidate happens, not the general election. And if we don't show up to the primaries, they're not going to pander to us. That's just how it is. And I can't agree with you more, Nate, that we have to stress, you can't just show up on election day. You have to show up for the primaries if we want to get some change done here.
Absolutely. We have to stay engaged long enough and keep people engaged long enough to stay in the primaries. But I also wanted to, oh God, I can't remember what TJ said, or not, what John said. Now, it'll come back to me later.
It comes around. It comes around. You're going to remember it in the middle of our topic about red flags. And we'll just
Pen is your best friend on these, as I've noticed. I've realized because I forget this shit all the time.
All right, so that'll conclude our
coverage
of the protest. And was there something else you want to say, TJ?
Well, not about the protest, but I wanted to shoehorn this in because these breaks are my favorite because I can just talk about like the random stuff. And I forgot that I had a clip that I wanted to share with Nate here. And John, you'll enjoy it too. It's one we've seen and talked about before. Nate, I don't know who your favorite member of Trump's cabinet is, but for us, it is not even close. It is Kristi Noem. She is our absolute favorite. And I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you've seen the videos of her dressing up in the tactical gear every time she goes out with ICE agents and everything. By the way, I should bring the clips for another show. She's been doing this for a long time. She not just for this job. When she was the governor in South Dakota, she dressed up as a nurse. She dressed up like on all this gear, like to appeal to folks. But did you see this clip of her hanging out with these ICE agents?
Here we are with Marco and Brian today. They're letting me roll with them. We're going to go out and pick up somebody who I think is got charges of human trafficking. Earlier had an op that swept up.
All right, we don't got to hear her talk anymore, but not really necessary. It was kind of dim. But bro, what the hell is going on with that weapon she's holding right there? What is happening?
Oh my God.
What is happening? Right? Like it's like she's holding the weapon, pointing.
No muzzle awareness.
None.
Pointed up
Right at this guy's face. Right there. Actually, during the clip, he kind of backs up a little bit, but he's holding his weapon up too. I mean, you don't need to have attended, like, you've been in the military or attended a gun safety course to know, okay, that is not the way you hold a firearm at all, especially a loaded one. And I can't get enough of this, but John, I think you'll enjoy this too. I saw this clip yesterday, and it's another friend of the show, Megyn Kelly, and she's talking about Kristi Noem and how she is sick and tired. She is sick and tired of Kristi Noem and her stupid ass the cosplay. I have got to play this clip for the show. Here we go.
Stop trying to glamorize the mission and put yourself in the middle of it as you cosplay ICE agent, which you're not. I can't stand these photo ops, you guys. I think they diminish ICE. They diminish DHS, CPB. She's not an agent. She is an administrative policy person appointed by Trump because she was very loyal to him. Fine. But stop with the glam. I mean, she looks like I look right now, but she's out in the field with her gun being like, we're going to go kick some ass. No one wants you there. First of all, nobody ever wants the extra lady who doesn't actually belong. Stop trying to glamorize.
All right. I'm so glad that, first, we love right on right fighting, don't we, folks? We love it. But I don't know if I've said this in a long time. Megyn Kelly, 100% right. 100% right. Like it is bastardizing whatever, if you hold, these offices in respect or anything like that. But having your boss who should be wearing a suit showing up in a vest and a belt and holding a firearm right before your mission saying, we're about to go someone who I think is charged with child. You think you're in charge here? I don't know. It's I'm glad to see it, but had you seen that, John? Or Nate, had you seen anything like that?
I hadn't seen that one in particular, but like you said, like even when you're in the military, having the CO just show up unannounced just makes you uncomfortable.
Yes.
It just makes you uncomfortable. So having someone who doesn't know what they're doing makes you even more uncomfortable, especially with the way she was holding her weapon, breaking the first rule of weapon safety.
And you know what she'll do with that weapon to an innocent dog. Oh, yeah. So imagine what she'll do to your head. No, it's honestly, Kristi Noem feels like a Larry David character.
Yeah,
like it feels like you could write her into any Larry David show, and she would fit right in. Like she just does dumb things in annoying ways, that like even Megyn Kelly's like pissed off at her. Like everyone must find this annoying. I really don't even understand how she got this position. Like she didn't even suck up to Trump that much. Like she just kind of existed and it got grander. I don't know. She's definitely a liability, I think, for this administration. There's some really dumb scandal that's going to happen with Kristi Noem. I can't predict what it is, but she's gonna get axed at some point for doing something really dumb, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I struggle to see the value she adds to the Trump administration. I mean, the fact that he was considering her for vice president was strange enough to me. It's like, really, you think people are lining up to vote for Kristi Noem, and she's from South Dakota, a state that's going red anyway? What? And now I thought he was through with her after the dog thing, but he still gave her a cabinet position. And so then again, maybe she's the only one willing to dress all ridiculous and like that. And Trump probably enjoys the pageantry and stagecraft of that. Maybe that's it. That's got to be it. That's got to be that Trump actually enjoys, oh, look, someone's having just as much fun as I am. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is. And probably the fact that he just wants to put anyone that the left hates in these types of positions. If they're cancelable, put them in a position of power.
Yeah,
that's actually a pretty good call. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, who's gonna annoy the lefties the most? And yeah, I don't know. So okay, actually I lied. One more, John. I apologize. This was not a cabinet official, but it's someone that we love anyway, and it's what's her name? Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary. God. We love her. We love, don't we, John? We love this lady.
Leavitt.
So I'll just do the cliff notes on this, that there is this guy who they arrested and claimed that he was the number 3 guy in MS-13. By the way, folks, if you ever hear the United States government say they've arrested someone who's number 3 on anything, it's a lie. It is a lie. That is a common. How many times did they arrest the number 3 guy in Al Qaeda? I feel like that's the most like dangerous job on planet Earth. You're the number 3 guy in Al Qaeda. You are getting droned. You are getting arrested. You're getting captured. So they claim.
And if you do happen to get droned, you become the number 3 guy in Al Qaeda, no matter who you are.
Yeah. It's and like you always knew. Oh, we had Bin Laden, we had Zawahiri, and then 9 number 3 guys that they all killed somehow. Oh, really? They were all number 3? Like, why would anyone take that job? But anyway, so they claimed that they arrested the number 3 guy for MS-13, and instead of giving this guy due process, they're just deporting him. And Martha MacCallum on Fox News says, okay, this actually doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing this? Because if he's the number 3 guy, shouldn't you have an investigation so we can find out more about MS-13? And I just want to go over Caroline Leavitt's response here.
Can you shed some light on this? Because it was a story that we all covered, that he was the East Coast leader of MS-13. So what was the evidence that supported that proclamation by the Department of Justice and the FBI?
Here at the White House, we applaud the Attorney General Pam Bondi, our FBI Director Kash Patel, for working hand in hand with local law enforcement on the ground in the Commonwealth of Virginia to detain and arrest this MS-13 ringleader. There was sufficient evidence to do so, and now the case is in the hands of the Department of Homeland Security, who will be deporting this individual from our country. These agencies are working together in a collaborative way to follow President Trump's directive to eradicate MS-13 and foreign terrorists from United States soil. So this is an individual who was detained and arrested because of the president's policies, and he will no longer be residing in the United States of America. And our
I'm just trying to get some clarity on it, Caroline, because if indeed he is what we were told he is, the East Coast leader of MS-13, wouldn't it make sense to prosecute him for crimes related to that? I know he was held on a gun charge, but to make sure that any victims of MS-13 through his leadership get their day in court here in the United States, and then send him to an El Salvadoran prison if he is deported and found guilty on those crimes.
Well, again, this administration is doing things differently, Martha, and this president has made a directive to his agencies, particularly the Department of Homeland Security, to remove foreign terrorists from America's homeland to protect American citizens. And we have an incredible diplomatic relationship with the president of El Salvador.
All right, that continues. Basically, she repeats herself over and over again that this guy's dangerous. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily want to talk about like the setup of it or the logic and everything because there is none there. Why does she talk like that? Or why do so many Trump administration folks talk like this? Stephen Miller, Caroline Levitt, they all yell into the camera, into the microphone, like the person is standing 40 feet away. And it
sounds like they're reporting from like a war zone or like in a
Yes.
hurricane. Like,
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the winds are pretty intense here.
Yeah. And so, like, Nate, when you said that maybe Kristi Noem just has that, because Kristi Noem doesn't talk like that. She isn't capable of generating that much force in her voice. But everybody else that's on there, that guy, what's his name? The finance guy,
He's the worst. Lutkin,
yeah. He's just yelling. It sounds like you're watching an infomercial at 3 a.m. or something, and someone's just yelling into the microphone. But she's the absolute worst at it. But it's indicative of the entire Trump administration. They all have that loud projecting thing. He's got to be forcing them to do it. No one naturally talks that way.
And I was going to say, it's literally the entire Trump administration, whether they're being investigated by the House trying to see like, hey, should this person be appointed to this position? Whenever they're asked a question, they talk circles around the actual answer without actually giving you an answer. It's like they were handed a script and said, hey, don't say anything besides what is on this script. Yell it if you have to.
Yeah. Yell it. Must be true. All right. So let's go on to the title story we had for today's episode. And that is Donald Trump, our anti-war president, Donald Trump. No new wars. He is going to go after the military-industrial complex. He has proposed a $1 trillion budget for the United States military. And you can't play the fell for it again award against the Republicans on this because they don't care. They obviously don't care. They spent years talking about how Donald Trump didn't get us into any new wars. And he also didn't end the war we were in at the time. Joe Biden did, but that was bad. We can't have that. So they don't really care about it. But what do you think this signals? Because so far, Donald Trump has bombed Yemen. And off the top of my head, he has threatened military action against Greenland, Panama, and Iran, kind of. Gaza, Mexico. He keeps threatening, military action over and over again, and he's expanding the size of the military. What do you think our great leader's plan for the U.S. military is, Nate? What do you think?
I mean, if he's actually serious, which you can never tell with this man, if he's actually serious about something or not, about taking Greenland by any means necessary. We are looking at a potential conflict. I mean, we've already heard that, like you said, that he was moving nuclear equipment onto an island, that way they could launch it into Iran. And then Russia, Vladimir Putin said, hey, if you launch those nukes, if you attack Iran, it's not going to be good for you. So he's making all these moves. It seems like he's planning to either start or participate in a war.
I mean, it's right out of the playbook. Like, here's the thing: if anyone isn't taking this seriously as a legitimate threat, I don't know what to tell you, because he's going to continue to decline in popularity. The economy ain't gonna just get better. Again, I said this yesterday, but even if you agree with him, even if you think his goals are reasonable economic goals, that somehow by reindustrializing and stopping doing all of the things that made us the greatest economy in the world and starting to all the things that poor countries do, we're going to get richer. Even if you believe that bullshit, he's going about it in the dumbest possible way. Like, you can't be sitting here and going, that guy is the guy that I want to accomplish these grandmaster economic plans of mine. So, like, it's just going to get worse. And as it gets worse, he's going to decline in popularity. And what does every authoritarian ruler do when they are declining in popularity and facing, an uprising against them? They start a war. You look at Netanyahu in Gaza. What's he been doing? He's been prolonging this war as long as possible. You look at Putin in Ukraine. He's can also prolong this war as long as possible. Like, if you look at every authoritarian throughout history, they use war as a reason to stay in power. it's going to happen. I can't tell you who. I can't tell you who we're going to go to war with. I could have given you some good guesses before this administration, but then he started throwing out things like Canada and Denmark, which were not on my fucking bingo card. And so I don't know who it is, but I do think he's going to try. And I do think that I really hope he doesn't feel the need to get there before Democrats have control of Congress, because it could get really bad.
If Star Wars has taught me anything about tariffs and trade wars, it's going to be China.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Why China?
Because the entirety of the first three movies, the prequel trilogy, the war, the Separatist War started because of trade wars between the Republic and the Federation, and that's what kicked off the entire Clone War.
Huh.
So you're saying because China's kind of the leader on the other side of the trade war, it's going to be them in the real war. Okay, got it. I was trying to think of parallels between the Federation and China, and I was like, I can't think of any. But they're both good at making robots. I don't know. Better than Elon Musk is.
They're both good at making robots. No. Yeah, so I'm interested in this too, to see where this goes, because Trump is leaning in several directions here. He keeps talking about, when he made his announcement, I think for the first time, when he announced the first time I saw it at least, that he was pushing $1 trillion military budget, he was sitting next to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he said, "Oh, you're going to love this." And he said that we're announcing $1 trillion military budget. I was like, that's weird. Like, why are you saying that? Why are you leaning over to Netanyahu and telling how much he's going to love this
Why
expansion?
are you going to love this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's also really uncomfortable because Trump keeps talking about the voluntary migration of the people of Gaza. I don't know how many times I've heard him say this. And when people ask him to clarify, well, why are you saying voluntary migration? What if they don't want to leave? He says, well, I don't know why they would want to stay, which is not the question. He wouldn't answer it. And he was saying, I'm sure a lot of them will leave. He keeps referring to it as great beachfront property, and Israel should have never given it away. And it's like, okay, are you hinting about the United States being involved in this removal of human beings and the stuff that goes on with Panama? My God, Pete Hegseth, what did he say? He said something about Panama today. I should have pulled the clip up or something where he was talking about the fact that China will no longer control the Panama Canal. Have you seen that? And because Donald Trump has been saying for a long time that, China is getting their hooks into the Panama Canal. No, China does not control the Panama Canal. But, if the red Chinese, the Chinese Communist Party, is sinking its claws into the most important canal in the Western Hemisphere, that's going to be impetus to do some sort of action. Yeah, and so maybe we should take it over. And Greenland, if they don't accept, I don't know why I keep saying Greenland, if they don't accept, payouts or bullying, whatever, I don't think he's going to go to war with Denmark. But I mean, who knows at this point? I don't really know what's going on. What about you, John? What do you think?
See, that's the question. It's less so which country is he going to try and go to war with, or less so is he going to try and go to war, and more so which country. And I really don't know, because I've been saying this for a while, guys. Like, I don't think we're capable of. Capable isn't the right word. I don't think it's viable to go to war with any country. Like, what, unless we invaded, I don't understand who we're going to war with, because we're not going to invade a NATO ally in Denmark. Like, that just seems so implausible. Like, that would cause a world war. That'd be like utterly catastrophic to a level that I don't think even Trump wants to touch. Like, I don't think he wants to be remembered as the president that started World War III. So any NATO ally, Russia or China, is probably all. I mean, obviously we know Russia's off the table because he's not going to go to war with his buddy. And China is an unwinnable war on both sides. Like, it's just like neither country could ever win that war. And honestly, it would take longer. Even if you were going to say you could win, it would take longer than Trump has in the presidency. So I don't think he has much desire to start a war that he cannot finish. Not that he, acts as if he's living in reality, but I don't think he would do that. So, like, there's Middle East. Like, I think Gaza's his thing. Like, I think he's going to send troops on the ground in Gaza. That makes the most sense to me. But, like, again, that also probably wouldn't take that long, which maybe is what he wants. I don't know. That's probably the most likely one, guys. Am I wrong about that? Like, if you're gonna rank the most likely countries that Donald Trump would want to go to war with,
I don't
Gaza?
know. I don't know what Nate's answer would be. My answer would be one that would be as like surgical as possible. I don't think, like John, I agree. There's no chance we're having, an actual invasion of China or Iran. So it's not going to happen. It would be something like what happened with the Houthis. It'd be something like that. Like that would be the only way that he would expand the military, because it's palatable to enough people and it doesn't cost us the blood and treasure, but it still allows us to flex our military muscle. It still allows us to pay the contractors. It still allows us to use the weapons and material that we have sitting there collecting dust, and could be a way to raise Trump's profile and get some more popular attention. Gaza would be a tricky one though, because you don't know, because it's not, there's a decent group of people on the right who are anti-Israel for the wrong reasons. They're anti-Israel, and so you never know. Like Gaza is, I guess, the best guess because it's the one that he does keep hawking and talking about. But I don't really know. What do you think, Nate?
I think Gaza, unfortunately, would be his primary target because obviously, other than Trump, he is best buddies with Netanyahu, and I don't think Netanyahu gave him that golden beeper just for show. I think it might be a different incentive, like the other beepers he handed out. But
that would be the very funny way for Trump to get assassinated.
Shit. Yeah, man. Wow.
But I think that a secondary option, if there would be one, would either be to try to invade Panama or to try to illegally do the strikes that he's talking about doing in Mexico on the cartels.
Yeah, the Panama one, I can see a scenario in which Trump does try to take over the canal. I can't see a military one though. I really can't, because it's like Panama would never. Panama would stand down. What would be in it for them to even bother trying to put up a resistance against the United States? I just don't think that would happen. I can see him doing a takeover, and I can see it not costing him any points. I can. You tell your average American, oh, Donald Trump illegally took over the Panama Canal. They're like, oh, all right, well, it belongs to us. Did anybody die? I really do think it's something that could happen where Trump would suffer minimal, if any, political consequences. What do you think, John?
Yeah, Panama is a good one because here's the other piece that people forget about on this one. Donald Trump desperately wants to gain land. Donald Trump is a real estate developer first and foremost. That's what he was born and raised in. And also, if you look at the history of the United States, you want to get your name in the history books.
Yeah,
gaining land is a great way to do it. And I think Donald Trump looks at things through that lens. What is going to get the most notoriety for the name Donald Trump? And that is where he wants to do it. I think that's why, honestly, I genuinely think that's why Gaza hasn't been invaded yet, because Trump wants to keep it and Netanyahu wants to keep it. And they're playing this little pissing match to see who gets it. It makes no sense for us to be involved there. And that's the problem. So it's like, maybe there's some small island nations he can conquer, get like the new Hawaii or something. God forbid we turn Puerto Rico into a state. I think that those are the factors that we need to have at play here. But yeah, to just circle this back up to where we're going, there's no reason for any of this, all of the extensive reasons that Republicans had is like, oh, the war in Ukraine, blah, 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 blah. We're spending so much money, blah, 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 blah. Oh, we got to cut Social Security and Medicaid and all this fraud and abuse. The Pentagon has failed. What is it? Are we at 6 audits now? 7 audits? I've lost track of how many audits have failed in a row, and we want to give them more money. It's laughable. It's laughable. Any Republican who wants to cut the deficit, I'm laughing in your face right now. I don't actually believe you ever wanted that, because if you did, you would have seen this coming, because the entire world could have seen this coming. And the number one most unnecessary expense we have is the military by the largest margin possible. So yeah, it's just bullshit.
Yeah, and this is actually the time where you could do it. There is enough sense, because back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean 10 years ago, 15 years
couldn't
ago,
do it. Yeah.
you couldn't do it. If you went up there and you said you wanted to cut the military budget, you would be hammered from Republicans and Democrats alike saying, I can't believe you're trying to take food out of the mouths of our brave young service members, and you hate America and stuff. And now you don't really have to jump through those hoops anymore. It's like, okay, no, of course I'm not trying to starve our men and women in the United States military, but the bulk of a giant portion of this money is going to defense contractors, going to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, to expand this military industrial complex that does not need to grow any larger. And people kind of know that now. So to the extent that a lot of Republicans say amazingly, yeah, we should cut the military budget. It's the same way they say that we should, reduce the national debt or something. It's something they use to paper over their real agenda, like the stuff that they actually care about, like let's punish the minorities and the trans folks and, the scary college professors and stuff, which is why, burning them on this and, the Republicans just dropped a budget that's going to increase the deficit by $5 trillion. They don't really care about that. They pretend to, but they don't. What do you think, Nate?
I mean, yeah, there is no such thing as a fiscally conservative Republican anymore, because literally all they do is increase the military budget and then increase the deficit. Because literally every single Republican that we have had since I have been alive, since 1997, which was the year I was born, has increased the deficit. Bush did it, Trump did it, and I'm sure the one before Bush Senior did it as well.
Yeah, Reagan did as well.
And every Democrat president has decreased the deficit.
Yeah,
I don't think every Democrat has decreased the deficit.
No,
I mean, every president has increased the deficit. Clinton is the one who got rid of the.
No, Clinton had a budget surplus, but every Democrat has decreased the deficit. Like every Republican, as from the Republican level. So I remember having a discussion with a friend of mine.
Okay, yeah, relative to the Republican, they increased the deficit less.
Yeah, and so I remember I was talking to a friend of mine years ago, and he's Republican, and he says, and it was during Obama's administration, like his second term. And he said, what I would really love? I would just really love to have a president come along and just cut the deficit in half. I think that would be great. I would vote for that guy. I said, you are talking about Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Obama took the deficit of the previous administration that George W. Bush spent and spent 1/3 of it. 1/3. And I don't hear you. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. He didn't vote for Democrats because they don't really care about it. They like saying it and it sounds cool. But no, all the presidents do it. Every now and again, you will find a Republican who will actually stand on principle with spending and stuff. Rand Paul on occasion will say, okay, that's actually kind of bad. I won't vote for that. I mean, he's crazy in a lot of other areas. But I do respect, he does seem principled. I think he's insane. I think that, I'm not going to call him stupid, but his ideas are incredibly, his ideals are misplaced. But he does stand by, okay, I don't want to spend money on that. That seems crazy. And he's all right with a few civil liberties things here and there. But the hypocrisy is pretty bad. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say Rand Paul's definitely I give him the credit of being more principled than probably the rest of the GOP currently.
Yes.
Even though he doesn't always stick with his principles. Which is why I gotta ding him. Yeah. Because he will use his principles to be against good things, but then when bad things happen, he only is sometimes against them. Libertarians are kind of like that.
Well, that's true, but I think that's also being a politician too. You can't govern solely by your principles. I mean, you can, but you will lose. Every politician kind of knows that. You can only go as far as you can go. Not everyone can be Bernie Sanders, even Bernie. I'm sure Bernie does it too. Bernie, you've heard Bernie, talk about pro-Israel stuff and everything. So yeah, it happens, but that's just how it is. All right. So I wanted to bring this up too with Republicans actually not sticking with their guns. And this is another one that just cracked me up. I don't know if you guys saw this. I just saw it right before the show started. But this is Donald Trump talking about his deportations. And essentially, he's saying that when we deport people, we're going to try to find a way to bring them back and give them a path to citizenship. That's what he said at first. And it's like, well, why don't you just start that now? I mean, why bother going through that? But then at the second part, where I'm going to start this clip, the second part of the clip, he starts saying, well, you got to realize we have a lot of people who are like farmers and hotel owners who need these folks. So if they recommend them, we won't deport them. So I wanted to play this clip. Here we go.
Farmers, that if they have strong recommendations for their farms for certain people, we're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and various places where they need the people. And we're going to be working with you very carefully on that. So a farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them. And then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out, they're going to come back as legal workers.
So, all right. So if you guys didn't hear what Trump said there, he said that, for some farmers who have undocumented immigrants working for them or hotel staff, if the owners come to me and they give me a letter saying, hey, these folks are great, they are undocumented, but can you kind of give them a reprieve, kind of slow back the deportation? Trump says, all right, we'll work with them. Now, on the one hand, fewer people being deported, great, all on board with that, obviously, but I cannot wait to see the Republican response to this. I can't wait, because the entire premise from the Republican Party is that these people shouldn't be here and they're stealing American jobs. And Trump, right on camera in front of God and everyone, says, actually, we want them to come back because we need people to work these jobs, to the extent that I'm not going to deport some of them because these farmers and these hotels, they need people to work there. I want to hear, because I am endlessly impressed at the mental gymnastics Republicans will go through to help back Donald Trump. But had you seen that, Nate? What do you think?
No, I hadn't seen that. But what it sounds like to me is Trump finally realized that his policies are hurting, all of these industries, and was like, okay, maybe I messed up a little bit. But he definitely realized, like, hey, my policies are hurting the agriculture of the United States and hurting our farmland. So we gotta slow down a little bit.
What do you think, John?
There's no way to spin it. It is a self-defeating argument. Like I often, because for people who are unfamiliar with like my TikTok content and stuff, I make a lot of videos where I play both sides of the argument, and I don't necessarily play the other side of the argument well, but that's usually because the people who are making the argument are making the worst version of that argument. The elected representatives in Congress and for the GOP, they make really dumb arguments. But this argument is just like, I don't even know how to approach it because it's self-defeating. We need to get rid of the illegal immigrants, but some of them are hard workers contributing positively to our economy. So we're going to give them a path to citizenship, but we're going to deport them first and then bring them back in at taxpayer expense. But we also want to cut the debt. It's not even like we're talking about consistency in between different positions. Like, oh, we want to cut the deficit, but we're also going to raise the Pentagon. That's inconsistency we've come to expect from Republican politicians. And Democratic politicians, to be fair. But this just doesn't make sense anyway. It's internally inconsistent in and of itself. I wouldn't even know how to argue against this. Like, I really don't, because if I make an argument against it, I'm kind of validating another part of the argument because the argument itself is at opposition.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to
They're going to ignore it. They're going to ignore it. You're not going to see anything.
You're not gonna see, but yeah, that's true. I wouldn't have if I were. They're in an unenviable position. I wouldn't want to be able to try to defend this, because you're right, John. Because everything about the premise falls apart from what Donald Trump said. That these illegal immigrants are stealing American jobs. They've broken the law. They shouldn't be here. We need to fill these jobs with hardworking Americans who are having this stolen from us. These people are drains on our economy. They aren't actually American citizens. They don't belong here. and then turn around and say, no, we want them. Actually, they're actually doing us a lot of good. How do you square that circle? I have to know. I have to know how the Republicans are going to get this, because one thing they cannot do is criticize Donald Trump. That's something that can happen. So like, it's a rock and a hard place, but I know for a fact that they are not going to say, well, actually, Donald Trump is wrong. They can't do it. They'll do the same thing they did with the stock market and everything. It's like, oh, you got to trust the plan. This is art of the deal. I bet Donald Trump is saying this because he's got something up his sleeve. What do you think, Nate?
They're exactly going to do that. They're going to pull this whole thing that they've been saying, like, oh, he's playing 5D chess.
Yeah.
Because every time that he does something stupid that they want to play out as something smart when it's really not, they pull out this whole, oh, he's playing 5D chess. You just wouldn't understand.
I like it.
It makes me want to apologize to Rain Johnson, because have you guys seen Glass Onion?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no, I didn't finish it. No.
Okay, so
I saw the Knives Out.
It's become memed, the scene where the main guy, James Bond, is like, it's so stupid, and then the woman's like, it's so stupid, it's genius, and he's like, no, it's just stupid. And I was like, it's a little bit on the nose there, but that meme has played out 10 times a day in front of my eyes for the past 2 months. Like, it's just, they just keep saying masterful gambit, sir, and they just never stop. It's like, and they don't need an explanation. Even when like the Fox News anchors press them for an explanation, they can't even give them one to satisfy Fox News. Like, it doesn't make any sense any way we put it. But speaking of things that don't make sense any way we put it, excellent segue to the tariff situation. So to catch up, since we left off yesterday, the stock market had recovered a little bit yesterday, because Trump paused the tariffs, and then today just utter destruction. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna get really bad really fast, and people just don't quite appreciate it yet. We talked a lot about this, TJ, yesterday, so I want to give Nate a chance. What has been your take on this unfolding masterful economic plan that Trump has for us?
Absolutely moronic. The penguins are definitely the cause of this downward slope that we're experiencing right now. The penguins that he tariffed the other day. Mm-hmm. But in all seriousness, to put a reciprocal tariff, it's not even a reciprocal tariff, it's a trade deficit tariff on every single area of the nation, because I can't even just say our allies, because it was literally just a blanket, is absolutely dumb, especially if the goal of these tariffs is to bring American jobs back into America, jobs that we don't even have the infrastructure for anymore. We demolished the buildings that we used to have the infrastructure for and rebuilt over them, and it's going to take like 10-15 years to even create that infrastructure, all of the infrastructure we need to even have those jobs housed back here in America. And so to try to bring those in right now is absolutely stupid, in my opinion, because you're going to bring these jobs to what? To nothing?
Oh, God. Yeah, it's like the penguin thing is pretty funny. I do kind of like that. But what's got me this is that it was really funny seeing yesterday with Trump's obviously insane plan with, nothing, no foundation on it whatsoever, not even informing the people who work for him what the goal of this was. That's actually was really fascinating. Whenever they're on Fox News, they all said different things. Some of them said these tariffs are to bring people to the negotiating table, or no, these tariffs are actually going to be permanent so we can, build manufacturing and expand it. I saw a great poll on this talking about how Americans romanticize the factory life, and saying that 80% of Americans believe we should do more manufacturing in the United States, but only 20% of Americans are interested in working in a factory, which I found pretty funny. Is that, yeah, they all think this, like, these jobs are going to save the United States. Like, no, you're thinking in the past. Like, we are rapidly moving beyond this. And John, you mentioned. Oh, first, John, I want to talk about. I laugh I laughed so hard when you started this because John has done this several times, and I keep meaning to call him out on it because it always cracks me up. John likes to congratulate himself on his own segues, which I find very funny. John will do a segue and he goes, "That was an excellent segue into this." Not the first time John has done this. He's done this several times.
I'm proud of my segues, TJ. What can I
Oh
say?
man, yeah. Like now, to be fair, he does congratulate other segues, but man, when he congratulates his own, that always cracks me up. And so John mentioned earlier that the United States cannot sustain a war with China and how like crippling and damaging that was. And I wrote it down because I wanted to bring it up this segment. Donald Trump is putting forth this trade war with China that is unfucking winnable. It doesn't benefit anyone at all. I can't remember what the tariff started out with China, but I remember it going to 104 and then it went to 125. And now what is it? Like 145 or 145?
Yeah, 145. Yeah.
Folks, that might as well be 1,000,000% tariff. It might as well be, right? Because you put a 145% tariff on Chinese goods, the United States economy collapses. It's done. Like there's no chance he can implement this. And I'm supremely confident that he's not.
Is it implemented? I'm actually very confused as to if it is implemented or not right now as it stands. Like if I import something from China, am I paying a 145% tariff? Or did Donald Trump just say that? It's been very confusing.
You're right.
I've seen people actually like who are business owners
Mhm.
actually already having to pay tariff costs. Like there's an extra line item in their receipt that says tariff.
But is the
It's-
145% tariff?
Yeah.
Like is the
I don't-
100% that's the one I don't know about.
I don't know if it's the 145% tariff, but as of yesterday, it was like the 125%.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
It's gonna be bad for us, folks. It's gonna be very, very bad for us. And to anyone out there who's confused by this, we get a shitload of everything that we use from China. Like so many critical infrastructure pieces, especially technology, from China. And all of these components are components in everything that we get. So it's not even just like if we're just going to be paying extra for these goods. We're going to be paying extra for everything that they're in. And also, they're placing tariffs on us. So everything we're selling them, we're no longer able to sell them. We're going to be able to generate less money, and we're making ourselves pay more money for the things that were able already to have. Free trade is good. It's the thing that I most agree with some conservatives on. The less barriers to trade that you have, the more efficient trade that you have. There's obviously, anti-consumer things that you want to be taken care of. You don't want to have free trade with, slave nations. You don't want to, you don't want to have monopolies. But when it comes to trade between countries, there's very few reasons to not have free trade, just like we have with our states. Can you imagine if Pennsylvania was able to put a tariff on things imported from New Jersey? That would be insane. It would be economic seppuku. But we think for some reason when we do it with countries, it's different. It's not. It's just as dumb. It's the same fucking thing. We're just people trading with each other. What country we're in doesn't fucking matter. So, these tariffs are going to fuck us all. Prices are going to continue to go up. We're going to have less jobs. And we're seeing the value of the dollar decrease. That's really, really bad, guys. Like, I'm laughing, but I'm also crying.
Yeah, it is an unsustainable tool right here, and that Trump is doing, and it will destroy. And I'm confident that. Oh, John, you got something to share here?
Oh, I do. I just wanted to pop this up. That manufacturing, and I'll zoom in a little more here, is decreasing. This is Trump's first term, a decrease in manufacturing during Trump's first term, and then Biden. Massive increase in investment into manufacturing sector. And look, Trump took over and we're falling off a cliff again. Even the substantive reasons for these tariffs of bringing back American manufacturing, it's doing the opposite. Because of fucking course it is. Because if you need manufacturing, you got to build a factory. You need to build a factory, you need fucking raw materials to build the factory. Where do we get the raw materials? Other fucking countries. Because that's how trade works. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb on so many levels. Anyone who defends this is a moron. Is a moron or a sycophant who doesn't care how much they hurt other people.
I said this in a video that I made today. while still stupid, it would have made more sense for Trump to be like, hey, over the course of my presidency, we're going to focus on building the infrastructure for these jobs so that later we can force these jobs back into America. It's still stupid because the cost of living in America has absolutely skyrocketed since like 20 or 30 years ago, when a manufacturing job paying $15 an hour could have given you a house, 3 kids, a wife, and two cars. But now you pay someone $15 an hour to work a manufacturing job, they're going to be breaking their legs and just struggling.
Yeah. I don't know. It is. And you know what? That's a great point, because there is an intelligent way to do this, actually. Like, if it is your goal, like let's say it's your stated goal that you want to bring manufacturing back to the United States, there are measures you could take to get this done. It would be a long-term project, but it's going to be a long-term project anyway. So you might as well get it set up and like tell people, listen, this is what I want to do. We're going to use the power of the United States government and the persuasion of the bully pulpit of the president of the United States to push forth initiatives and funding and government resources to build up American manufacturing, so we can stand strong and we can strengthen the Rust Belt. It could have been, and it would have fucking worked. I know it would have worked. People would have rallied behind that and say, hey, we're gonna rebuild the hollowed out husk that was the American production machine. And it could have been like a strong patriot. It actually fits right in, which honestly, like, it's kind of insane that he didn't try this the right way. But it would have taken actual work instead of just stock market manipulation and rug pulls and everything. But you guys will be happy to know that Donald Trump is focusing on important issues like this one.
A series of executive orders, memorandum, all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major priority of your administration. The first of these is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
You can say it. What are the appliances?
I mean, it's everything, sir. Dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a
There's
huge
no
deal.
water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So with this,
Okay, Nate, one thing that John and I lament day after day, it is a shame that Donald Trump is legitimately funny. I hate it. I hate it so much that Donald Trump has like excellent comedic chops and that he can turn any moment into a comedy routine. It's fantastic. But even if he didn't, have the little riff there with the toilets and everything at the end, how does this not embarrassing? I don't know. I get tired of saying this, that you see this and it's undignified, it's silly, it's goofy. There's actual shit going on. And he's in the United States. I mean, he's in the Oval Office stating, well, I know I got all this problem with the stock market. They asked him about the stock market today. He says, oh, I didn't get a chance to see it. But he did have time to sign an executive order saying we are ending Biden's war on showers. Like, I don't even know what to say at this point.
I mean, I don't know why he's trying to focus on showers, because him and his supporters don't shower.
Oh, damn.
No, actually, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. Donald Trump is well known for taking one particular kind of shower. If you catch my drift here.
Shit. Damn.
Have you guys? This was the first I ever heard of this when he said this today. Have you heard this before?
No.
Have you guys noticed your shower water pressure?
Shower pressure's been the same for the past 27 years.
No, Trump has been saying this for years. Years. I've seen several times where he gets up there saying he complains about the low flow toilet pressure. He complains that dishwashers don't run like they used to. He says, you get in the tub, you try to take a shower, and there's not enough water pressure to wash your hair. He's been complaining about this for a long time. I was not surprised to see this at all.
Well, first I heard of it. So
yeah,
some things do pass me. But yeah, it's the economy, guys. Fuck it.
I've got to see what happens with this China thing. I really do. Or with and by the way, I forgot to mention how people were, celebrating. Oh, look, the stock market fell 5,000 points and Trump reversed the tariffs. And now it went up 2,000 points. We're back on the saddle, boys. And then it tanks again today. Folks, of course it tanked again today. Once again, Donald Trump has created an unstable economy. Now, no one's going to trust anything. Him implementing a tariff and then backing off on it for the third time, raising them to inexplicable and illogical levels that have no basis in reality, putting forth no actual goal. You can't run a business when the economy is going all haywire like that. And you're just encouraging other nations to work with each other and exclude us. Like, despite what you guys think, we can't actually run the world by ourselves. We are dependent upon our allies and nations that we trade with. And if you're, I forget the guy, I think it was Bill Ackerman. He said something like, sometimes the best negotiating tactic is to convince the other guy that you're crazy. That this is not one of those cases, okay? You do not want to think that the person running the United States economy is an insane man. He is, so I guess it's honest, like he is, but it's not good for the average worker. And for every Republican who was just screeching these last few days saying, oh, wow, so turns out you guys want to eat the rich, but as soon as the stock market collapses, you start clutching your pearls. What? No, like the stock market is an indicator of what people think the economy is going to look like in the future. And people who thought that, wow, the economy is going to collapse outweighed the people who thought it was going to be fine. And with Donald Trump running it, it's going to keep going like this. Like what Trump did was honestly too little too late. Just saying that, oh, I'm going to pull it back now, it's going to keep going down. I don't know how far it's going to go. It's going to stabilize eventually, but the future looks pretty bleak. I am not looking forward to it.
I mean, like on the topic of like the Republicans being like, oh, you know, all the people who said eat the rich are now worried about the stock market. I mean, let's just look at what happened during the Great Depression, because the stock market collapsing affects everyday Americans. Because if the stock market collapses, back during the Great Depression, when the stock market collapsed, everyone ran to the banks to pull their money out of the banks because the banks were investing their money that they had in the banks. And so when they went to all pull out their money and they didn't have all of their money in the banks started turning people away saying, hey, we ain't got your money. So if that were to happen again and all of the banks across America were to fail, there's a theory that the FDIC wouldn't be able to insure every single bank in America if it were to fail.
It's not a theory. It's not a theory. The FDIC cannot insure every single bank in America if they were to fail. And that's so. Someone put this. I think it was Kyle Kulinski, the Secular Talk guys.
Mm-hmm. Kyle Kulinski.
Kyle Kulinski, and he put it really well. He was like, the reason, because I said this, how like when the stock market's going up, that's not indicative of a good economy.
Right.
But when it's going down, it's usually indicative of a good economy. It's going to hurt the working class. And the reason for that is that in a capitalist system, the profits are privatized and the losses are socialized. If a company makes more profit, they're going to take the owners are going to take more of that money for themselves. When the stock goes up, that money is going to be taken by the owners of the companies that are receiving that have the stock. When the stock goes down, the fucking owners aren't going to eat that shit. They're going to start firing people. And when they start firing people, there's less investment because people have less money to invest. And then the stock continues to go down. And if it collapses fast enough, what Kyle said is going to happen, and people will pull their money from the banks and will have the bank run. And that is very, 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 very bad. It has never resulted in good things for anyone, ever. And we want to avoid that at all costs. And if I was trying to make that happen, I would be doing what Donald Trump is doing right now.
Yeah. And, you know, it's actually hard to blame people for not knowing this. Most people don't know how the stock market works.
No, TJ, I learned this in like middle school. I learned what happened with the Great Depression in middle school. If you don't understand what a bank run is, no, I blame you. You failed fucking 7th grade. That's your fault.
If you don't know about the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, the bank run, like it's your own fault.
If you don't know Smoot-Hawley, I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you for that part. If you don't understand the basic economic concept of a bank run or why it's bad for everyone when the stock market tanks, I blame you for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of agree, but I kind of don't, because like, all right, I'm not surprised. I'll put it that way.
Okay,
I'm not surprised. I'll put it that way. I've seen people who are far less aware of easier topics than this one, but this is actually what I was thinking about earlier today that kind of depressed me with showing the economic illiteracy of your average Americans. That how often do you hear people talk about how Joe Biden was clearly a bad president because gas was $3 a gallon when Biden was president. But when Trump was president, I remember gas being $2.10 or gas being $1.98 or something like that. And it's like, all right, do you remember when that happened? Do you remember precisely when gas was that low? And of course, it was during COVID when we had, a 14% unemployment rate. They don't remember that. They remember, I remember paying $2.10 for gas. So clearly Trump was better. That's going to happen again. Gas is going to plummet. Gas is going to plummet because of this. And they're going to say, I knew it. Trump got gas prices down. And that's all you're going to hear. They're going to pivot to that and say, wow, Joe Biden couldn't decrease the price of gas. But now that, Trump has imposed these tariffs, we have cheap gas again. Thank you, President Trump, our dear leader. What are you going to say, Nate?
I was going to say I've already seen that happening.
Yep.
With gas prices as well as with inflation, because now they're saying that inflation is going down as well.
Which it's not, by the way. It's not by any metric going down. It has been ramping up, and it's about to go super hot. Like I can't stress enough to people how the tariffs are going to increase the price of everything, and the value of your dollar is, even if you think the tariffs aren't going to increase the price of everything, even if you're like that dumb, we can. There's a graph that tracks the value of your dollar, and it's going down, and that's not good, guys. It's not good when your dollar is getting less valuable as a direct result of your president's policy.
Oh God! With the last thing about the stock market and everything, so Trump's obvious fucking with the market, on his own whims and everything, is, raising red flags, and we'll get to those pretty soon. But Donald Trump yesterday actually said the words, like he posted, "Now is a great time to buy," about an hour before he reversed the tariffs, which I just found really funny. It's like, you can't even like ding him for insider trading. It's like he said it. Hey, I told everybody now is a good time to buy. And I saw Adam Schiff.
I want him to make that defense in a court of law. So
you know what?
It's not insider trading. It was a public service announcement.
You know what? It's not a bad argument. I gotta tell you, like it's not like And so, but what's really funny is I don't know if you saw that chart showing a bunch of people making calls to buy stocks like immediately, like a few minutes before Trump made his announcement and everything. So okay, clearly they knew this was coming. And I saw Adam Schiff. I didn't even pull the clip up. It was like a 3-minute long clip of him talking about how this is clear stock manipulation. This is illegal. I'm starting an investigation of the Trump administration. I said, brother, what are you doing? What are you doing? Haven't you learned your lesson by now? After all this time, why would you burn the calories trying to investigate or arrest or imprison or punish Donald Trump in any way? I can't think of a bigger waste of time. Like I get, announcing it, this is bad, this is wrong, whatever. But anyone in Trump's cabinet, anyone in Trump's administration, anyone, connected to Trump in any way is just going to get pardoned. And you sure as hell aren't going to arrest him. Talk about it, point out that it's wrong, it's illegal, it's corrupt. But I think it is a colossal. There are other things you could be doing with your time than investigating.
I actually disagree with you here, T.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
You're right. He's gonna pardon them, but good. If your goal is a political objective and not a justice-based objective, you want to lay out a very clear case of why this was insider trading, a thing that people do care about, and by people I mean rich people. The kind of people, the only opinions that actually matter in America, they do care about that. People, if you look at the stock people, the finance people, they've been freaking the fuck out. They've been turning ship real damn quick. You look at Dave Portnoy turned ship. Bill Ackman, is that his
Bill
name?
Ackerman? Yeah,
Bill Ackerman,
he's back on Trump's train now. He's back on
Trump. Yeah, but you see, if you can get political willpower behind this. And if you can collect heads and force Donald Trump to pardon them, that is going to take political capital away from Donald Trump. And what else are you what is the better objective that they should be working towards here? What's the opportunity cost?
I am fine with talking about it and blast. If you want to make it like a political talking point, I think that works just as well. I just don't think the investigation shit is gonna yield greater returns. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it just
Because you can also imagine how easy it is to figure it out. Like, again, it's not like these people are using very untraceable. They probably invited a journalist to the group chat talking about it already.
Why not,
Like,
though?
that's-
I mean, what? Just like, I want real quick. We're gonna move on here, but Mark, actually, this is the first time in a long time I've actually agreed with what Mark said. Mark said, "Doesn't a weakened dollar make American manufacturing goods more attractive?" I was thinking something similar, Mark, but a lot of people, like certainly a lot of right, was like, "Well, weak dollar is bad." I rarely hear conservatives talk about what Mark just mentioned there, that the weakening of the American dollar actually does help our trading to a certain extent. To a certain point, it does become damaging.
So Mark, I will address this very directly. Because Mark called out, I'm bad at econ. I'm not bad at econ. I'm actually econ is one of the things I'm better at than a lot. Econ is how I got into leftism, by the way. Like I don't talk about this. Like a lot of people get into left-wing politics through activism. I didn't. I got into it through reading econ. And that's where I kind of got into a lot of these policies. Like, oh, universal health care. That makes way more economic sense. Rehabilitative justice. That makes way more economic sense. Investment in education. That makes way more economic sense. So all these things. But here's the thing, Mark. Yes, weakening your currency does help domestic manufacturing. The problem is that wasn't the intended outcome of the policy. Like, that's the reason that he reneged on this. When the stock market is crashing, common sense, like common knowledge, is that the dollar is going to strengthen. It's that when the stock market is crashing, people are going to take that money out of the stock market, which is highly volatile, and invest it into stable commodities. So you see things like the price of gold go up, which it has gone up. You see things like the US dollar go up because traditionally that's been incredibly stable. You see things like treasuries go up. The problem is that people just lost all faith and confidence in the US government, and they started selling the treasuries. They started selling the dollar, and the value of these things went down. When you are intending to make the value of the dollar go up and it goes down, that is about as bad of economic policy as you can possibly happen. Even if it were to turn out good, the fact that it was not intentional is catastrophic. Whatever economic policy you implement, you should have an idea of, does this make dollar go up or down at the very basic level? And if you get that wrong, clearly your process was incorrect.
True. On I guess equally nerdy shit right here. Where did Mark wrote a comment here asking about my shirt? I can't remember where it was. I saw it before.
He did. That's
a bot shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's VOT, Mark. It's a VOT from the boys, and so that's what the V stands for right there.
We got to bring you on. Given your name, we got to bring you on next time we do a tier list of a show. We've done the boys. How much would each character like Elon Musk? And we did the same thing with Invincible last week. We'll have to do another one with some other characters. Those have done well. But speaking of an excellent segue, we'll do our tier list now. So I chopped this up a little bit different, TJ, because I was like, I couldn't like visualize these things, so I'm just gonna do text. So I made it like a little bit bigger categories, and I did 3 of them. So we're gonna be doing political red flags today. Things that people say or do that hint to you, hey, maybe this guy has fucked up politics or bad political views, or it's just generally an annoying political person. I didn't make everything I have. We're also not going to get to everything I have on this list, and I encourage you guys to add as we go along, because I've written out a bunch of things. But I didn't to do a little caveat here. I didn't want to do the obvious shit like, oh, you read Ayn Rand. No shit. I tried to stay away from that stuff. There is some obvious stuff in here, but I wanted to keep it more towards the things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, right? So we have things that are just generally okay. They might be bad if attached to more red flags, but in general, on their own, we're okay with them. Red flags being something where it's like, okay, you got to kind of take another look at this guy if they do this, and then just run. Just if they do these things, we're going to run. So first one I have here. and this one is going to be an easy one, and we're going to do way less conversation about these than we usually do. Using the word woke unironically. Is that a red flag, a run, or an okay?
Wow. Okay, this was actually tougher than I would have guessed because using it unironically, I think it can happen both ways because people saying that, oh, this is like another woke policy, that's what a Republican say. But I can see myself saying something like, this isn't some woke thing I'm talking about here. This is real. Like I can see it. Yeah. So
you're saying it has become so used by the right that we are forced to use it unironically on the left. I actually might agree with that. Nate, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in the same level of TJ because like in the battling of like conservatives' use of the word woke, we have to use it so much. So it's I would probably put it's somewhere in the middle of that okay and red flag area.
Well, I didn't put a middle, so we got to make a decision, and I think we're gonna go okay. As you can see, we do a lot of high tech preparation for these shows. But our next one here,
John. Also, I gotta say, like, why didn't you go green flag, yellow flag, red flag? It's like that would have been like the obvious one on this. They're like, there's no theme. Okay, red flag and run. They're not related in any way. You know what? Never mind. It's called red flags, but a red flag is the center choice.
TJ, I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Yeah, John shit on mine last time, so normally I wouldn't have said it, but hey,
TJ last time he didn't understand the way tier list charts work. He didn't understand there was a scale. At least this is a scale in the right order. At least I don't have run before a red flag.
We're having a great time, folks.
We're having a great time here. So my next one is extremely knowledgeable about either World War II or Roman history.
Run, solid run. I something I noticed as a teenager is that I couldn't believe how many adult men I knew who referred to themselves as history buffs, and what it actually meant was, I am obsessed with either the American Civil War or World War II. This is like 30 years ago. Maybe people weren't talking about Roman Empire quite as much back then, but the Civil War, World War II.
War's another one. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyone who says you ask them about any other type of history, you ask them about the French Revolution, the African diaspora, the Mongol invasions, they ain't got shit for you. All they know is World War II, Civil War, and now Roman Empire. Now, all great topics, right? That's just perfectly fine. But if your conception of history is limited to those, you are a fascist, guaranteed, 100% of the time. What do you think, Nate?
I mean, absolutely. The fact that if it was just World War II, because there's a lot of people who know a lot about what happened to Jewish people during World War II. And in that case, I might give you a pass. But since you threw in the Roman Empire as well, run.
Right. Yeah, like you can be like everyone. Like World War II is an interesting time period. I don't mean you have an interest in it, or if you're Jewish and you have a particular interest in that, like that makes sense. I'm saying they have like an almost like autistic special interest in World War II specifically, especially if they don't really care about the Pacific theater at all.
Yes. Kyle, asked about that. You rarely see these guys obsessed with the Pacific theater. Yeah, so Kyle, good point. If they're obsessed with the Japanese part, still a little suspect, but not nearly as bad as the Eastern Front.
All right. So next one up is very confident of their fighting prowess despite never training.
Red flag.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate. What do you think?
I say red flag because if you've never trained in a fight, there's a chance. There's a chance that you might be able to get a lucky hit, and you might have gotten in a fight, gotten a lucky hit, and that's why you're extremely confident. But it's not so much of of a run situation because it's not like if you've never trained, I'm not scared of you, so I'm not gonna run. It's not like, hey, I gotta get out of here.
Wow, yeah, this one, I think I'm a red flag as well. And it teeters on okay, honestly, because I think this applies to a lot of dudes. I think it applies to more dudes than I'm comfortable admitting. However, it would certainly apply more to some dude with awful political takes because, you know, they have an inflated ego of themselves and they can't wait to get themselves into a fight. And they have never been in a fight. I can't stress that enough. Like most people have never been in a fight once in their lives. And everyone thinks that they're a Dragon Ball Z character. They're going to get angry. They're going to kick the shit out of someone. No, you're going to get punched in the face. Your nose is going to get bloody. You're going to freak out because you're seeing your own blood. You're going to start crying and you're going to fall apart immediately. That's going to happen to 99% of people. So I do get how a lot of people would think that, but I think I would definitely expect conservatives to think that a lot more. They probably have a inflated ego on them, but it's definitely not a run. I think I agree with you, Nate. What do you think, John?
Oh, no, I'm definitely red flags. Not a run because, as you say, TJ, a lot of dudes think that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of dudes low-key are fascists. So I think that the Venn diagram fits. Again, you can be just dumb and overconfident in your fighting prowess. But that's the thing. To me, like, it's not, hey, is this person overconfident in their fighting prowess? Probably. A lot of dudes are. Are they loudly overconfident about it? Are they saying they'll beat people up in a fight? Are they being that macho man? That's a fucking red flag to me. Because anyone who knows anything about fighting is you don't fuck with the dudes who are quiet about it, especially if they have cauliflower ears. Anyway,
most people who actually fight don't even tell you that they fight.
Yeah, I taught a self-defense class over the weekend. I was like, listen, I have been in 2 fights in my life, and both of them were with someone who was too intoxicated to know any better. And every other fight I ended before it started with my words and just being quietly confident. And they got the hint. So it's like, that's, if anyone needs any advice out there. Kyle also asked, what about people obsessed with Japan during World War II? Yeah, if you're obsessed with Japan, I respect you, honestly. Like, if you're obsessed with the Pacific Theater, I don't think that's a red flag. I think that's actually a badge of honor because you chose the path that nobody really gives a shit about. But
unless you're too obsessed with Japan's side of what happened in the Pacific Theater.
Well,
obviously.
Because Kyle says he's very interested in Japanese fascism because of how it deals with cultural engineering, the way free and opposition parties were allowed, and how close it is to American fascism nowadays. So,
honestly, Kyle, I kind of want to look because I don't know much about Japanese fascism to be perfectly honest. So it would be interesting for me to look into. I'll just add to the list of 80,000 things I have to look into. Anyway. Is concerned about declining birth rates.
Oh, come on. Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. I
put some easy ones in there, but I think that this one, people like normies wouldn't know is a red flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say this is a pretty clear run to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only run. Like John's a good point. The only people who would know about this are people like us or obvious run folks. Like there's no like middle ground folks who are aware of this and don't know how incredibly creepy and weird it is. So yeah, solid run in my book.
Yeah, it's a solid run. So like I just got finished reading the book Brave New World. And reading it and like literally like hearing them talk about like how they fix their birthing crisis by basically genetically modifying people. I was just like, this sounds like J.D. Vance's agenda. And I was just like, this, and hearing this, I was just like, this is an automatic run.
Yeah, 100%. And Kyle asked if we heard the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yes.
Kyle,
we've heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Kyle, no one knows more about the Dunning-Kruger effect than me, okay?
Absolutely no one in the world.
Nobody.
We are the world's foremost experts on the Dunning-Kruger effect. So next one coming up here, mentions IQ in any context.
Okay, I'm going with okay on this one. Because, all right, IQ folks can be, weird, like birth rate people or race realists or shit like that. There's a lot of those folks, but there's also a lot of just really annoying folks who talk about IQ who might not fit the red flag territory. You know what? No, fuck it. They're red flags because they are fucking annoying. And how I see it, because I remember going to this party a couple years ago, and there was a guy there who kept mentioning that he was in Mensa. Like every conversation you got in, he'd be like, oh, so I was with my Mensa group and everything. And folks who mention that they're in Mensa or talk about what their IQ was, they have no confidence. They have, they're insecure. So red flag for annoying possible fascists, but not guaranteed fascists. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, it's definitely a middle ground because like there's definitely the eugenic side of things to where it's like you got to have a high IQ, but there's also the other side where it's just like they're really proud of their IQ and they're just super annoying about it.
What, John? What does it say again? What does the sentence say? Mentions IQ
in any context.
Oh, because that applies to me too. Because I make fun of people's IQs. I don't actually remember the numbers. Yeah, but
I want to say I feel like I'm accidentally personally attacking Kyle. My things here.
Now.
If you are a psych researcher, you're allowed to mention IQ. That's when I said any context, I meant context that they wouldn't apply in. Maybe not so any. There's obvious context where IQ might have academic value to discuss, but when you see it randomly talked about on when people say, "Is this a high IQ move?" It's usually a red flag to me. Again, not run. I'm not saying you got to run from that guy. They might just be annoying.
Yeah,
but that's definitely the way I see it.
I want to answer this question. Is like, are you in Mensa? Mark asked. Mark, no, I did try to join Mensa, but I was too good looking. They're a bunch of fucking nerds, and so they wouldn't let me in. So no, couldn't get in. But all right, what's it?
I passed the test in middle school, and I didn't join.
So I had a. I know what. Fuck it. Let's keep going.
Okay. What do we got here? Oh, I love this one. This is for men only.
Okay.
And it is won't suck a dick for any amount of money.
What the fuck, John? What the fuck?
I'm saying that men who claim that there is no amount of money that they could suck a dick for are so insecure in their sexuality that they're a closeted gay Republican.
I'm going to do Kyle here. He says run.
Yeah, Kyle. Wow. All right.
Kyle's gay for context.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm not putting that on a run. I'm not putting that on run because I would imagine there's a lot of chill dudes who are just like I refer to like back when I grew up 100 years ago, in the 80s and 90s, we were all like softly homophobic. That is just how we were. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's fine because we're from a different time. I mean, different time, but you know what I'm saying? That society just kind of crafted us that way. That, calling someone gay as a pejorative was just what you did, And so we still have a lot of those vestiges from that time. And even there's a lot of folks that applies to now. And so, the thoughts of just like, taking a hot load on the face, they're like, no, there's not enough money in the world. I can say now, I'm not saying that applies to me. There definitely is a dollar amount, but I can see some guys who I wouldn't just say, oh, that's definitely a closeted fascist or something. I'm going to go with red flag. Not okay, but definitely red flag. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, so in all seriousness, I do agree that it would be red flag because, like you said, there are some people that they're not super homophobic. That it's that's the reason, because at the end of the day, it's your personal preference. If you don't want to take a hot load to the face, you're not going to take a hot load to the face. But if you've been in the military, you've had this conversation. You've had the conversation of what that dollar amount is going to be.
Very true.
This is, if anyone ever wants, like, it's like a boring party, it's mostly dudes there, you want to just drum up a fun conversation, ask this question. What is the minimum amount of money that you would suck a dick for? You will get a solid at least 30 minutes of great material out of that. It is a go-to of mine anytime that I want to get a party started.
I love it when the dollar amount is so low it surprises you. You're like, really, man? Like $45? Wow, that's all it would
20
take.
bucks
Really?
is $20.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm just. I would pay you more. Like
Yeah,
I feel like you're underselling yourself.
yeah, man. Like, where's your pride and dignity, John? If I could shoehorn one in, I just thought of one.
Oh yeah.
Because with the military thing that Nate mentioned. All right, Nate has like his he presents himself wearing a beard and a hat with an American flag on it. Like where are you going with that one? Like how does that look? the vet bro look right there. What do you think?
It's borderline red flag and run for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, on the left at least, there is an attempt to grab back the American flag right now. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say red flag, just because a lot of people a lot of veterans in general just want to grow out this beard. So you can't really judge someone just based on like, hey, they got a beard with an American flag hat. But at the same time, there's a good chance that beard with an American flag hat, they're gonna be on that fascist right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you're being far too generous, Nate. Like, by the way, a specific type of beard, like the Special Forces beard. That's the beard. You guys probably know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
that combo. Yeah, okay. Yes, okay. Not just a regular beard like we have, but someone who's pretending he's still an operator, although he spent 2 years in the military and got chaptered out for height and weight or something like that. Those type of guys, like. It's just,
is he wearing 5'11" pants and combat boots?
Yeah, and he drinks Black Rifle coffee or some shit like that. You guys know the type, and I am definitely putting those guys on the run. They can't wait to flex that they love the state. Our generation of vets who fought in the last 20 years or so, you'll never see us wearing those like Vietnam veteran hats or World War II hats. Those went out of style. They make them, but you don't see people wearing Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom hats. Instead, they wear the hat with the American flag on it. That's just like our style of it. And so I'm suspicious of those guys. Well, what do you think, John? You've seen these folks in the wild, I'm sure.
So I definitely have a lower sense of the particular fashion trends of vets than you guys do. I do understand what you're saying. I know what you're saying with the hat. I wouldn't flag that as a run.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say red flag. And the reason I'm going to make a decision and put it there is because I think that there's a better run, and that's beard, American flag hat plus sunglasses. That's a run. That's a clear run. You can't. I noticed it. I noticed it with the Kristi Noem thing that you showed earlier, TJ. How both of the guys had like the classic fucking sunglasses look on, and it's like, if you wear that outfit, it is maybe the most, like, you have the hat, you have the beard, you have the sunglasses. I can't think of a better way to tell the rest of the world that you're a fascist besides literally wearing a Nazi uniform, or like, I don't know, being a cop. Anyway, that's
there's the MAGA hat. That's the other way.
Well, yeah, the MAGA hat does it, but even of the MAGA hat people, I think like a lot of them are just like culturally there. When you're wearing the sunglasses and the like, it's just like it's a dead ringer to me. You run from that person. I did the men only, so I want to do a woman only.
Okay.
Women only, because this definitely doesn't apply to men. But gets oddly quiet whenever politics come up. I don't know why the font changed. But the font changed.
That's a good one. I don't know if I would put that at red flag. Because a lot of women, it's kind of like, I don't know if you're an atheist or not, Nate, but John and I are. And with being an atheist,
Guilty.
Okay, cool. So you guys know, it's like, with being an atheist, if you look at the stats, there's always more male atheists than female atheists. And I think a big reason for that is that women aren't allowed to be like as assertive or as outside of the norm as men are. Like, a guy says he's an atheist, they might think he's being edgy or he's being, oh, look at this guy, he thinks he's smart. But women's like, that bitch, I can't believe she's like, so I can see, so women don't have the luxury of speaking up about politics as often as we do. So it might not be because she's a fascist. It might not be because she just doesn't want to get into a political fight. But she could be a fascist. So I'm reading with okay, because I don't think that would trip any alarms for me. Well, what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I'm going to completely agree with you. And I'm going to go not necessarily the Christian atheist field, but more aligned of the political field. Because I don't know if you remember during the election, they were talking about women who are married to conservative men, but are liberals themselves. So she might be quiet around politics because she doesn't want to upset her conservative family members or the conservative members that she is around. But in all reality, she doesn't hold their same views.
No, that's a great point, one that I hadn't considered. I was coming at this from the point of view as someone who spends a lot of time in generally liberal circles, especially liberal circles where it's mostly women. I tend to spend a lot of time in those areas, and you can pick them out. You can pick them out. So when the political discussion comes up and the one who's usually pretty talkative just sinks into the background, you can usually pick them out. But you bring up a good point. It can work. It's a double-edged sword there. It can work both ways. So I'm totally cool with putting that in okay. Since you brought it up, TJ, this was also on my list. Is religious at all?
Listen. I hate to do. Well, actually, you go first, Nate. You go first. Decide what do you think.
So, I've met some really cool, accepting, and just like they've heard that I'm an atheist, and they're just like, all right, cool. I don't care that's your prerogative, and we live our lives separately. We respect each other on the left. However, on the right, I tell them I'm an atheist. You're going to burn in hell. You're living your life in sin. Everything you hear from an evangelical. So I'm going to say red flag just because it can go either way.
Yeah, I'm going to go red flag as well, but maybe for a slightly different reason than Nate, because Nate is saying that, you know, if you meet someone on the left who's religious, they're pretty chill, they're cool and everything. And if you meet someone on the right who's religious, they can be chill or cool, but there's also a decent chance they're going to, you know, just bulldoze you and, you know, be rude and everything. However, religious people on the left, what the fuck? I don't know. Like when it happens, it's like, really, come on. I got it. I understand. Not everyone feels the same way, but in my mind, a lot of religious folks, you're just kind of providing cover for all the people who, and plus you're telling me that like this religion, this relationship with God Almighty and his son with whom you're on a first name basis, this is like the most important thing in the universe. You just don't take it that seriously. You're like, you know, it is what it is. That's a red flag to me too. And it's a softer red flag, like a light red, but it's still red. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think that, again, I feel a need to apologize to Kyle. Like, again, I'm not trying to personally attack you, Kyle. I love Buddhism. Like, if I were to, like, have to choose a religion, Buddhism would be my choice. And it also doesn't really apply to my general criticism of religion of being something which teaches hierarchical morality. Because that's why I put this in the red flag. And to be clear, you can have red flags that are false flags. You know, red flags aren't run. Red flags aren't, you got to get the fuck out of there immediately. It's over just based on this one thing. It's, hey, this could be an indicator of other bad things. And to me, if you are religious, you are willing to believe something that you must just have faith in without any explanation because someone else told you so. And if you are in the Judeo-Christian religions, you also believe in some sort of hierarchical morality, which leads to a lot of other bad worldviews. Plenty of cool religious leftists. We have Tim, New Evangelicals. He's a guest of the show. Yep. It was an excellent episode when he was on, and I'm happy to have him back. You can be religious and a good person. But to me, it's always a red flag. When someone's religious, I'm just like, it's a red flag. You can still be a good person. I can still be cool with you. I have plenty of religious friends who I very much respect. It's just something where I'm like, my guard's up now. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta see what kind of religious you are, as Nate alluded to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle, like, so Buddhism is like a weird one. Like, Buddhism like barely qualifies. That's really in my book. Like, Buddhism barely
Yeah,
qualifies.
and I don't mean that
honestly,
in a derogatory way. I mean that in a
no, yeah,
complimentary way.
exactly,
It's not like
yeah.
the other religions.
It's not. And so, yeah, there are plenty of good religious Muslims and Hindus and Christians and Zoroastrians and Jains and whatever out there. Yeah, fine, we got it. But once you start saying that, yeah, I believe in these invisible creatures with magic powers, I was like, oh, that's weird. That's odd. And people act like beliefs exist in a vacuum when they fucking don't. Because they don't. It's just like, if you're willing to believe something with no evidence at all, I'm wondering what else you're willing to believe. And so, yeah, I can't help it because that's just the truth. But yeah, that's how it is.
Colby asked a wonderful question here. What about adult onset religion? That's
run for the hills.
That is
for
run
the fucking hills.
For the hills. If someone became religious as an adult, I don't even understand. Like that type of person, I feel like I can understand fascists. I can't understand adult onset religious people.
No.
And I love the phrase adult onset religion.
That's great. That's great.
That's hilarious. If you who was that? Was that Kyle didn't say who said
Colby.
that? Colby. If
that's
you
great.
coined that term, I'm stealing it and I will credit you sometimes.
Colby, reach back out to the show. I will send you the inaugural Powers Taken Not Given merch. We'll get that sent out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kyle's fucking with us. No fucking way. No fucking way. Oh wow. John.
But that's again, Buddhism isn't like
it doesn't count for me. It doesn't count.
Like
doesn't count.
I get Buddhism is more of a philosophical religion than a dogmatic religion like the other. So again, anything we say about religion doesn't apply.
All right. So Conservative Ozark says, yeah, TJ, us 21st century Americans encounter so many Zoroastrians today. I can see why you would pull them into this conversation. Look, Zoroastrian is a funny word to say, okay? And it's a religion most people haven't even heard of. So it's always good to whip it out during religious conversations. I apologize for nothing for bringing up Zoro. I will ask Zoroaster for forgiveness this evening. Okay, I'm sure it'll happen.
I will clarify. Adult onset religion of the Judeo-Christian faiths is I just never understood it. Anyway, let's wrap up here with one. What is else on my list here? This is a good one because this kind of cuts both ways in my mind. I'm interested to see what you guys say. Cares about race swapping in movies.
When we say cares, what level are we talking about?
I'm saying we'll talk about it on a consistent basis. Like had a conversation about it and had an opinion, no, but like likes to fight in this fight.
Yeah,
on either side of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only time I hear it, it's a run. I can guess that it might be something that people would annoy people for certain reasons or whatever, but I'm going red flag. I'm going red flag because I don't think I've ever had like a good conversation about race swapping in a movie. It's like, I don't know, just something that I couldn't possibly myself into. And when I have heard it, it has seemed rather, toxic and weird, but I don't know. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, it's definitely a red flag because when I see it, it's just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I see other people arguing and it's just like, it doesn't matter. It's fictional.
I always say this, like, yes, there is like a systemic problem, especially historically, of people of minority, like not getting played by minorities and getting played by white people instead. That's something that totally happens. But also, it's not always bad because, like Scarface, like Al Pacino fucking killed Scarface.
Yeah, he did.
I wouldn't have wanted anyone else in that role. And he did a great job. It's not an inherently bad thing the way some people treat it on the other side of the argument. Yeah, the people who are like, "Oh, I'm pissed about that this white guy was replaced with a black," get the fuck out of here. That's a red flag. 100%.
I think the only bad example of race swapping that has happened is the race swapping of Snape, because now
Of who?
Snape was bullied of Snape from like the new Harry Potter series that's about to come out, because
Oh,
Snape,
okay.
Snape was bullied by Harry Potter's father, and now Snape is going to be the only black kid in that school. So how is it going to look that Harry Potter's father is bullying the only black kid in that school?
Damn, he had it coming. Guy had it coming. But you know what, John? You mentioned Scarface, and Scarface is actually a weird double race swap, because like the original Scarface with Paul Mooney back in the 30s was about an Italian guy, and then the remake with Al Pacino was about a Cuban guy, so they re-swapped him, but made him an Italian actor. It was like this weird, like like a Russian nesting doll of race swapping they had going there. That was just thought about that. Kind of interesting.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. This has been The Left Wing. I really, really hope you enjoyed our show today and all of our excellent segues. But if you're watching this as a video right now, you maybe didn't hear them. So make sure to catch us live at 6:30 on Thursday, 6:30 EST. If you liked our guests, want to hear more from them, Nate, where can people find you?
You can find me on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, all at the Buff Anime Nerd.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted you to subscribe to The Left Wing. This is a fantastic show. Appreciate it, guys. Catch you later.